Hi, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com here at the DevOps Enterprise Summit, and I'm joined by Rob England, author of The IT Skeptic. Rob, welcome.
Thank
How's
you.
the conference been so for you?
Oh, it's great. It's my second year here. I had the privilege of coming to the first one last year, and that was so exciting that I decided I just had to be back here again this year. So I did.
And when you say you came, you didn't come from down the block either, did you?
No, I didn't. No. I'm from New Zealand, so it's a reasonable jump across the Pacific, as a number of people will know who've done it the other way. But it's an experience I've had a number of times to come to the USA for conferences, so it's one I'm getting used
Absolutely.
to. It's the price you pay for living in paradise, I think.
I guess so. And what's pretty amazing is for a relatively smaller country in terms of people and population, how well represented Kiwis are in the DevOps world.
Yeah. There's a lot of interest in the space there. I think as a country we're still a ways behind, but that's good. That's opportunity for people like me to carve out a living there.
One man's gain is another's loss, and so forth. So, Rob, can you share with our viewers what do you think have been some of your biggest kind of aha moments here at the DevOps Enterprise Summit this year?
Well, I'm full, so I'm awash with stuff. But one of the great moments for me actually has been George Spafford, who I've had the pleasure of talking to online for a number of years, but got to talk to him. And he helped me crystallize something that I've been wrestling with all year. So I'm a bit of a philosopher in these things, and I like to think about the really broad stuff. And there's something, there's a real sea change going on in IT at the moment that I think even DevOps is just one symptom of. You look at cloud and BYOD and shadow IT and DevOps and agile and concepts of servant leader and mindfulness, and there's just all these different things going on, and they all sort of point back to something in the shadows that is even bigger than all of them. And so no one yet has really sort of pinned a label on it where I've gone, wow, that's it. And so I've been calling it the IT liberation movement as sort of an analogy to the women's lib movement of the 60s and how transformational that was for women. And when Jean talked about humane IT, that really resonated for me as another way of almost encapsulating it, that it's about giving IT back to the people and empowering people and liberating people, as I said. So I was talking to George about, come on, give me a label, how can we, and he thought about this, and he came back and he said to me, maybe it's the renaissance of IT, maybe this is the renaissance. And I was like, I think that's it, right? Yep. I'm going to go away and ponder this. But I said, it's the Enlightenment. I came back,
right.
I think we're going through the Enlightenment of IT. But I kind of think George has nailed it with the Renaissance. So I'm going to ponder that, but I think there's another blog post on the IT Skeptic for this. Yeah.
I think there's a lot there, but there's also, I think, a lot to it. Over at DevOps.com, from the day we launched, it was the tagline was sort of where the world meets DevOps.
Yes.
But we're actually doing a site redesign, and I'm changing tagline. I haven't quite wordsmithed it yet, but it's along the lines of DevOps, the new way things get done.
Yes.
And it really is almost like coming out of the Dark Ages.
So maybe it's the renaissance of getting things done.
Right, of the way IT gets it done anyway. And when we talk about IT today, with every company being a software company, it pretty much encompasses everything.
It does.
Everything is touched by it. Any other observations about this year's show?
Similar to, I went to Agile New Zealand, tiny little, but we had some heavy-hitting speakers come out for that. And at the end of that, the organizer of that conference talked about how, have you noticed that in this whole conference, there hasn't been a single discussion of tools or even techniques. The whole thing's been about culture and people. And DevOps has always been about culture and people. But the big thing, one of the big sort of common themes coming out for me here is that it's still, the key thing is about the culture and the transformation, and the tools are just an enabler to that. Chris Little, I picked up on his profile, he said that tools are to DevOps as telescopes are to astronomy or something, right? You know? And I like the fact. I like that. I really don't understand tools. When John Willis talks about technologies, and
actually, we just had John in here talking about it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And I honestly don't understand. And actually, I care less. And I care about people and process. And I've been interested. Can I carve out a living? Can I carve out a living as a consultant without actually understanding the tools in the DevOps space? And I think that's an interesting question. Do you have enough cred to?
So I do think you can. I think there's tools are secondary, no doubt about it.
You need people who can do that for you. You need people who can
culture,
enable what you're saying, right?
You also need leaders to lead the transformation. Now, there will come a time where, the overwhelming majority of organizations have been transformed, and that culture is sort of embedded. And you'll have slight variations in culture from organization to organization, but there'll be basic tenets that are the same, right? And we'll have constant new enlightenment, just as in a Renaissance time, right? Where we build the foundation. That being said, and tools change, right? What's today's tool is not tomorrow's tool, or today's tool hopefully get better tomorrow as well. So I do think it is about people, process, culture, than tools.
The thing that's different with DevOps, I feel, compared to my past life in ITSM, is that DevOps is impossible without the tools.
Yes.
Automation is absolutely fundamental. Whereas, it's the old joke, you can do ITSM with Post-it notes, But the difference with DevOps, I will grant you, is that it's impossible without the technology.
Yes, it is. We just started a new cartoon series on DevOps.com. It's called Where the World Is, or Where the World Meets something. I forgot the name of it already. But there was one yesterday or the day before that said, how can we make DevOps funny? And the other person said, well, there's a script for that. And that's pretty funny. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up because we need to move on to our next interview. But Rob, thank you so much for stopping in.
My pleasure.
Glad you've enjoyed DevOps Enterprise Summit 2015.
Absolutely.
Hope to see you at 2016.
I hope so.
Or maybe out in New Zealand or Australia before then.
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely. This is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com.